Hello Facebook, it's Vanessa here, speaker, trainer and head coach at Live, Love, Give, and I'm excited as always to jump on a Facebook Live with you guys. And I've got this message that I actually wrote about this morning in my journaling, and it got me really pumped up to sort of not just leave it as a post, but actually to get it into a video format, because I think that it's a really powerful message. And ultimately that's all about, the fact that we get what we settle for. And the post I made this morning was all about, not being a settler. Don't, stop settling for mediocrity and ultimately reach for the extraordinary. And that's what I want to talk into. I'm really passionate about it. And before I get into it, I want to just say hi to all of you who have joined me so far, to Michael and Manolo and Khan, and Matthew and Raul and Laval and Elliot. Nice to have you. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. And Aaron, thank you for joining me. Love having you guys here. And Graham, awesome to have you. And Philip, awesome. Okay, so guys, I could be liable to go into a full-on rant for this one, because this is something that I feel is the definition between, what's holding us back from our freedom and our fulfillment in life, and ultimately just settling for this mediocrity that we know. We always have that deeper burning desire, that inner voice that's saying, hey, lift your game, step up here. You have greatness within you, as Les Brown would say. And that's what my message for you guys today is. My intention for today's message is ultimately to get you thinking about being honest with yourself about the areas of your life that you're currently just settling for mediocrity in, and ultimately to take responsibility and step up into your greatness. And if we're all honest with ourselves, we've always had that inner voice, that inner knowing that is telling us to step up, and it is reminding us, it's trying to wake us up to our greatness. So I hope that this message is going to resonate with all of you out there, and ultimately I want to get you all thinking. A settler is somebody who just settles for what is, lets the external world, dictate the results, what to do, what to say, how to feel, everything. It's such an unintentional place of being. And ultimately, a settler is trying to encourage others to just settle as well. Just do what you got to do. Have the 9-to-5 job and, get married, have kids, settle down. Like that whole scenario, whatever, and for some people that's resonating. But for other people, like, myself included, I don't want to just settle for what everybody else has. I want to reach for what I'm called to do. And that's what a reacher is. A reacher is somebody who looks at the possibilities. We don't get held back by the being too reasonable, too relying on, what everybody else wants, and too realistic. Realistic, we chuck that shit out the window, and ultimately we step up to what we're called to do, despite being called naive, despite being called a dreamer. All of that stuff, all those settlers out there who try and hold us back, who try and rain on our parade in a way, who think that we're just so idealistic and we've got our head in the clouds. No, we have that calling for a reason. And if you're like me, if you're somebody who wants to reach for their greatness, who always is looking to grow, improve, learn, develop, and ultimately that's all about showing people what's possible. It has a desire to inspire, and that's what I feel is the life lived that leads us to freedom and fulfillment in life. So there's so many of you out there. I've been connecting with all of you incredible people who have been jumping on these calls, and I've absolutely loved getting to meet you and getting to dive a little bit into your world and see what you're struggling with, see what your challenge is, see what those roadblocks are, and ultimately try and help you break through that and step into this new realm of your potential. And so I want to ask you guys, where is it in your life? If you're being totally honest with yourself, where are you settling? Is it in your relationship, in your intimate relationship? Are you settling there? I've spoken to many of you out there who are in these relationships for 10, 20, 30 years, and you're not happy, and you haven't been happy in a while, but you're kind of just settling for that mediocrity. It. Or is it in your job? Are you feeling like, okay, you might have got some success, or you've got some financial safety net sort of coming in. But ultimately, if you're really honest with yourself, you're settling. You're not stepping into your key strengths. You're not pushing the needle forward in your potential, or maybe it's in your finances. Are you struggling financially? And if you're really honest with yourself, are you settling for that feeling? Are you really doing whatever you can to break through, to step up, to add more value to the lives of others? Or, maybe it's in your health. Are you just settling for, crap food on the couch every night? Or are you driven to sort of step out of that, get moving, cherish your body and nourish it and, grow it and develop it and strengthen it? These are the sort of questions that, if you really are committed to your sense of freedom and your sense of fulfillment, they're my two favorite words at the moment, if you are really committed to that and your own success, then ask yourself, are you settling or are you reaching? And if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. If it doesn't scare you a little bit, it's not growing you. You're staying in that comfort zone. So I challenge you to dream big. And I'm not just talking about, oh yeah, I want to get that better house or that better car. I'm talking step it up seriously. Dream seriously big. If you had zero limitations on you, if you didn't have to worry about money, time, people, how they're going to feel about it, all of that stuff, and you could just get inspired and just dream big, lift the roof off your dreams, that's where the real you steps forth. That's where all your energy is engaged and drawn out of you. So I challenge you to be honest with yourself. Where are you settling in your life right now? Is it in your relationships, your friendships, your job, your money, your lifestyle, your health? Where is it? Where, if you're honest with yourself, are you actually settling for the ordinary? And you could be reaching for the extraordinary. And then define what that extraordinary is by dreaming big. Create an environment for yourself to just, dream seriously big, like you've never dreamt before. If there was no limitation, that's where your juice is. That's where it can be found. And before I keep going on and on and on, I want to check in with you guys again and see where you're at. And all of you incredible people who have joined me. You guys, you just energize me so much. So I appreciate that. Jeremy, my friend, and Stephen, Don, I'm awesome. Thank you. And Andy, thank you, Raul, Elliot, and yes, so awesome. And Aaron, yes. Rondi, thank you for joining me, and Trish, so good to see you, and Belinda, my friend, lovely to have you back, yes, Aaron, it's fear, but fear is false evidence appearing real. Yes, I love that. Great one, and Mike, thank you for joining, and Manu, and Clint, awesome to have you here. That's so good. And Belinda, every single night when I tuck my kids into bed, I say to them, you have greatness in you. Wow, I love that, Belinda. That's so powerful. I can just picture that. It's beautiful. And Donald, I'm victorious, not a victim. Yes, I love it. Yeah, Jeremy, hashtag no to settling. I love it. Thank you, Clint. I appreciate you. And Hassan, yes, thank you so much for your comment there. Appreciate it. Yeah, love it, Belinda. Damn settling, how boring. Yep. And Adam, thanks for joining. Ahmed, thank you. Chrissy, Laura, every day and every way I'm getting better and better. Awesome. I can tell that you're into your Tony Robbins stuff. I love that. And Elliot, a friend told me that I am too old to believe in peace. Wow, well, that's an interesting friend. And what I would say to that is a great challenge of a friend to help you to sort of learn some sort of lesson there. That's interesting. And Hassan, thank you so much. And Judy and Dave, awesome that you're resonating with this. Thank you so much, James. It touches my heart more than anything to know that my messages are, of any value to you guys. So I appreciate that so much. Yes, definitely we need to live our purpose, Elliot. And Sarah, what blocks us from escaping a mediocre life? Great question. As always, Sarah, I appreciate you so much and your questions. They're insightful, they're intriguing, and I love answering them. So ultimately what blocks us from escaping a mediocre life is a couple of different things. Ultimately, it's what I mentioned in my video yesterday. Remember, I introduced you, if you guys saw it, the 4 C's, ultimately the 4 cornerstones of empowerment. So what blocks us is each of those areas have something blocking us. So, consciousness is the first piece. So consciousness, if we're lacking our consciousness around what we want, who we are and what we want, that blocks us from a mediocre life, that escaping it. We're not even aware of it a lot of the time. I know I wasn't. Before I was introduced to personal development, I had no idea. I just knew I wasn't happy, and I knew I didn't actually know, but I was distracting myself a hell of a lot because I didn't have those answers and I didn't know there was another option. So definitely that level of consciousness around who we are and what we want. Also our courage, the second cornerstone, do we believe in ourselves? Do we trust and value in ourselves enough to make that step, make that leap? Got to work on the courage piece. Also, the third cornerstone is the connections. So who are we surrounded by? Who are the people around us? Are they bringing us up or are they tearing us down? And ultimately, we're in control of that. So you've got to surround yourself by the right kind of people who inspire the best out of you and support that. And I've been on a journey myself in terms of this, and sometimes we don't recognize that the relationships that we're in are actually kind of unhealthy to our level of courage and self-belief. So I challenge you to expand your connections, engage with more people, build relationship with more people, and test out what's working for you, what's not working for you. Sometimes a shift in environment in terms of our relationships can be really key to escaping that mediocrity. And then ultimately the fourth cornerstone that you can look at as well for this one is that sense of contribution. Do you have an outline of your key strengths, your unique gifts that you could use to give back to somebody else and ultimately, generate some fulfillment that way? Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to give. We're here to identify what our key strengths are, hone them, give them. That's it. So if we don't know what our strengths are, what our unique gifts are, then ultimately that keeps us trapped in a mediocre life. So that's another key area. So awesome question, Sarah. I hope that the way that I've answered that for you guys is helpful. I hope it gets you thinking. And if you didn't catch my 4 cornerstones video yesterday, make sure you go back and watch that for a bit more in depth there and a bit of a training. Amin, nice to have you. And Victoria from California, nice to have you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. I love having you pop on here. And Moises, so good to see you again. Thank you. And Spady and Musty and Nas. I'm so grateful to hear that, Nas. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that this is helpful to you. Thank you, Amin, for joining again. And Superman, my friend, thank you. And yes, Aaron, I'm convinced that it's 3 things that create a great life. Be committed to your dreams, do whatever it takes and make it happen, and have the right attitude to push through any and all roadblocks. Love that, Aaron. You like-minded as always. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your knowledge there. And John and Musty, thank you so much. And Yeltsin, thank you for joining me. Awesome, guys. So, ultimately what I've been thinking about is that you gain energy through authentic momentum and you are drained of energy when you're through inauthentic stagnation. So that's the difference. So sometimes we find it really hard to break free of a mediocre life because we're going down the inauthentic stagnation path. We're just kind of like sitting in this realm of not really knowing who we are, what we want, and not going after it. And ultimately we're so drained of energy in that state of being that it's harder to break free. But it is that power of momentum. Once we start tapping into higher levels of authenticity, we start making that one step, and that, like you've heard, that first step is often the hardest. But once we start making that step in a more authentic, aligned way, that's when we start generating the momentum and start getting more and more energized. And that, my friends, is where all of your freedom and fulfillment is accessed. Once you start living in alignment with your authentic self and start creating momentum in the right direction and pulling away from that inauthentic path which is stagnating. Hope that that was valuable for you. So guys, that's really ultimately my message for you guys today. It's really about stop settling, start reaching, start dreaming big. Stop, living in the past or living in your limitations as to what you feel is your potential. You don't know that yet. So none of us can truly know the heights of our potential, but what we can do is trust in ourselves that there is that next layer and start aiming to reach it and bust through it. That is where we start feeling the progress. We start accessing higher and higher levels of our authenticity, our clarity, our direction, our fulfillment, our ability to make our lives matter and feel it. So I wish nothing else other than that really for you guys. That is key to a successful, fulfilling life. And I'm definitely on that journey, and I'm experiencing new layers all the time. And this point in my life right now, I've never had this much energy. And it's because I've tapped into that next layer, even though it was scary, even though it was hard to move forward, and I had to leave some people behind. But I'm doing it, and I'm living it, and I want nothing more than that for you guys out there so much, because guys, it's awesome. It's awesome to feel energized by everything that you do every single day, and I love that feeling. So I want to just check in with you guys. And Anne, so good to have you back again. And Tatiana, thank you so much. I'm glad this is resonating. And Gurjeet, nice to have you. Thank you so much for your such kind words. Yes, Aaron, I can see it's resonating with you. And Elliot, I appreciate you so much too. And Andy, you're so welcome. I love having you here. Glad this is resonating with you too, Natasha. And John, think about what you would and can do to be truly free. Totally, John. Dream big. Get outside of your mediocrity in those different areas and challenge yourself to dream way bigger. Really do that. And Victoria, I've learned it takes discipline and commitment to consistently not responding to how we feel or our mood. Yeah, so it's different for everybody, but ultimately I'm a big believer in the fact that, in terms of mood and how we feel, there's a strong way of moving through emotions, and there's a weak way of resisting and cutting off from emotions. And ultimately there's also a weak way of feeling too much into emotions and letting that dictate our life. Oh, I don't feel like it, and never moving forward and progressing. And so, yes, I definitely agree that it takes discipline and commitment to live in a great emotional state, but never, classifying emotions and moods as negative or positive, because that keeps us stuck. So many of us get so trapped in our depression or our negative states of being, and we don't give ourselves any sort of acceptance or compassion, which ultimately keeps us trapped. And if we were to give ourselves some acceptance and compassion, we'd be able to more quickly move through those negative emotions and access higher and higher levels of the energy, the empowerment. And ultimately, I'm a big believer in being really intentional about your emotional states, but not suppressing. You're a human. We've got to feel the whole spectrum of emotion. And when we suppress the negative, we also suppress the positive. So make sure that you've got that in mind too. And I appreciate that comment so much, Victoria. Thank you so much. And Anatha, great to see you. Awesome. So guys, let me know any last questions or comments that you want me to touch on here. But ultimately, this is what it's all about. Stop settling, start reaching, go for greatness. Don't stop at just good. There's that inner voice within you that is calling out, trying to wake you up to the fact that you're probably settling in one of those areas. Is it your relationship? Is it your friendships? Is it your financial arena? Is it your job? Is it your lifestyle? Is it your health? You've got so much to give. You've got so much to experience. And, don't get to the end of your life feeling so filled up with regret and empty from fulfillment. Ultimately, tap into it now. Now is the time to ask yourself quality questions so you can create a truly extraordinary life. And I hope that has been really valuable to you guys, and I'm really excited as always to engage with all of you who come on here and join me. And I've just got a question here. Is there, from Sarah, is there a process to get out of and process negative emotions? Definitely. Yes, I've been meaning to do a video on this. It's called, a process that I use is a release letter. I'm a big believer in journaling in order to access the emotional part of your brain, which happens when you engage in the act of writing. So it's a really great way to process through emotions, and I've got an actual system to do that with. So what I might do, Sarah, is I might actually do a Facebook Live maybe tomorrow on the release letter technique. It's such a powerful technique to move through, you know, this, it's been scientifically proven this direction of moving through emotions will get through all of it, so that you can start off potentially, you know, in an angry state and end up in a loving, centered, grateful state through this process. So if that's going to be valuable to you guys, then definitely hit me back and let me know. And Jeremy, how do you manage the old patterns and try to get you to settle once you have authentic or momentum? Awesome question. I love having you here, Jeremy. So yeah, how do you manage those old patterns that try and get you to settle? Okay, so this is about breaking free of your comfort and reaching for, you know, what's extraordinary. And when you start creating that authentic momentum, you know, you start taking that one step. That's the scariest part. That's the part that you can be easily pulled back into past patterns of mediocrity. And ultimately taking that one step, having that ounce of courage to do that, you start feeling how incredible it feels to align with your authentic self. Like, you become unstoppable. That's what happens when you tap into the truth of who you are. And I know for myself, there's definitely times where my patterns are falling back into mediocrity. It generally, for me, how that happens is the people around me, I sense that they want something different. And, you know, my past pattern is pleasing others, making others happy would make me happy. And that's where I used to get my self-worth, from making other people happy at the expense of my own truth. But once I started tapping into that authentic momentum, I am so much more attuned now. I can recognize it in the moment, rather than a couple of years down into a relationship that I got into potentially for inauthentic reasons and I wasn't aligned to myself. You know, instead of it taking 2 years or more to like get to that point, I recognize it within half an hour, or I recognize it within the week. And I recognize, oh, I've said yes here to something that's mediocre. I've said yes to something that's not aligned with who I am and it's inauthentic. I'm not feeling good about it. And that's what it's all about, a process of building higher levels of self-awareness to be able to recognize those patterns that pull us back into that mediocrity. And I believe that they're different for a lot of people. We do share similarities in those patterns. But yeah, I'd love to have a deeper conversation with you about that, Jeremy. I'm sure we will on one of our upcoming calls. And that's where we could sort of tap into what those key patterns are for you in terms of your being pulled back into that mediocrity. So I'd love to chat about that more. And Jeremy, thank you so much for that question. That was awesome. I hope for all of you guys, the way I answered that and explained that was of value to you guys. Definitely. And yes, awesome to hear it, Victoria and Brian. Thank you for letting me know. I'll definitely do that. I'll do it for you guys in tomorrow's live video. I will introduce you to the release letter technique. It's awesome, and we'll make it a little bit more of a training one. And then that is a tool that I use personally and I use with all of my clients in terms of moving through emotional situations, particularly when we've been stuck and we keep recycling the same emotion over and over again. It's because we've been suppressing it. We haven't allowed ourselves to fully move through it. So I can't wait to share that with you guys today, and grateful that you're interested in that. And Aaron, My Take in Life is the title of my book I'm writing. Oh, awesome. If you do nothing, you get nothing. I love that, Aaron. I can't wait till that comes out and check it out. And Alexander, awesome to have you. Yes, awesome, Sarah. Grateful that you'd love to see that. Awesome, Brian. Yeah, you love the term authentic momentum. Yeah, I was just thinking about it before I jumped on this live. And it's that momentum that you get from your authenticity. It's so powerful. There's so much energy there. So I'm great that's great that's resonating. Thanks, Jeremy and Elf, my friends. So nice of you to join. So guys, that's really my message to you guys today. It's all about reaching, not settling, dreaming big, not playing small, and being authentic, generating that authentic momentum rather than being stuck in inauthentic stagnation. So I really hope that today's message has been interesting to you. It's, opened your mind up a little bit. You're ready to dream big. You're ready to get seriously honest with yourself about where you currently are so that you can really make the move to exactly where you want to get to in your life. It's been so awesome to have all of you guys here. I appreciate you all so much. I don't think my words can truly express how much I really appreciate having the engagement. I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate that my messages are of value to you. If they are, I love hearing from you guys, and when I hear that, honestly, I feel so grateful every single day to be getting messages like that from you guys, because each day I feel like I'm living on purpose and I'm living in my sense of contribution. So I can't thank you all enough for that. And guys, definitely, yes, Aaron, sorry, I haven't got back to anybody's messages on Facebook Messenger. You guys were so beautiful and sent me so many messages that my inbox is just got hundreds of messages through it, but I will definitely check on them. So I will check your message there, Aaron, and I will get back to you. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much, and I will see you all tomorrow, where I'm going to introduce you to the release letter technique, and it's going to be awesome. So see you then.